Hello everyone, my name is Amber. Welcome to my channel, Amber Reads Romance. Today I'm here for another weekly wrap up. I'm going to be going over all the books that I read from July 7th through the 13th. Had a pretty good week. I read 7 books. One of those books was a super thick one. I don't have the copy of it yet because I'm waiting for it, but that's the first one I'm going to be talking about. But let's go ahead and dive into my weekly reads. Okay, so we're just gonna get right to it. I don't want to make too long of a video. I say that every time, but you know how I ramble or gush. If you are new to this channel, I do weekly wrap-up. So this is all the books that I read for the week. This first book that I'm gonna bring up is actually part of the Outlander read-along. So I finally caught up where I reread the first 3 books because for some reason I just stopped after the 3rd one. They are pretty thick books and they're pretty long. So I think I kind of slacked off and never got back to it. So I'm absolutely thrilled that Jen from the Book Refuge is doing this Outlander read-along. I should be joining her for the live show that's happening this month. I think it's on the 20th. So it should be next weekend. But anyways, sorry, let me bring up the book. I read Drums of Autumn, and I'm still waiting for my book. I've been trying to annotate these, but I haven't even annotated them yet. I just basically highlighted them all on my ebook version. So again, I bought the ebook version on this, and I'm gonna transfer all my highlights and notes onto the book. Eventually, this is my project this year. I need to do it. But these are thick ass books. So, side note, sorry about that. So this is the 4th book in the Outlander series, and this is my first time reading it. So now all of these are going to be new reads to me, so that's cool. This is a long book, and I think they just keep getting longer and longer. So this took me a few days to get through. But in this, it's the continuation of Jamie and Claire's romance. I mean, I'm not really going to go into the whole setup of Outlander because we are in the 4th book here, but basically Jamie and Claire are now in America, and so they are settling in America, trying to find their place there. And this is the establishment of Jamie finding his land and his area that he's going to end up having, and it's called Fraser's Ridge, you know, and I just love the America. I watched the show, so I've seen what happens in this, book already, but it was great to read it because I just love Jamie and Claire. It's a lot of day-to-day, their struggles, them trying to find their place in this new land and what they're going to do here. It's a totally different world than when we were in Scotland. So I really like that. I love American history, so I always love going back in time to this. So what I loved about this too was reading Roger and Brianna's romance. And Brianna is Jamie and Claire's daughter. She is in the future still, and she has basically started falling in love with Roger, and they're falling in love, and it's like kind of their story too. But also Brianna finds out when her mom, went back in time to go back to Jamie in the last book, she's been kind of looking into things to see what happened, if everything's okay with them, and like looking at documents and things like that. And she reads a story about this fire at Fraser's Ridge, and I think it might have said that her parents died or something. And so she's very concerned, and she wants to go back in time and warn them. And she really wants to go back in time anyways because she and Roger both have that ability, because Roger is like a descendant and related to Gillis Duncan, who you've seen in previous books. Anyways, there's a lot going on, but basically Brianna goes back in time, Roger finds out, and he basically follows her to try and find her. So she goes back in time and she meets Jenny, Jamie's sister, which I freaking loved. It's just amazing because Brianna's this tall, she's obviously Jamie's daughter, redhead, super tall, beautiful woman, and so they instantly recognize her as completely Jamie's. And so she has to travel across, you know, the sea to get to America and try to find her father and Claire. And the thing that makes this book, even though it's long and there's some stuff that's slow, it's pretty, like Diana, she does over explain things, there's a lot going on, but I don't mind that. But the thing that made this a 5-star was having Jamie be able to meet his daughter. And that's just so beautiful to me, and him being able to like build this relationship with Brianna when he never thought he could ever see her. You know, he cherished like the pictures that Claire brought back, and he always thinks about her and dreams about her. And so to be able to have them be together in the same time is just beautiful. And then we also have a new villain, Bonnet. I'm not going to go into it, but he is fucking crazy. He's kind of, I mean, nobody can be as bad, like, as Randall, Jack Randall or whatever, but he's pretty bad, and he's villainous to each of the characters in different ways, and so it's pretty crazy. There is trigger warnings for sexual assault in this. You know, it does happen again in one of these books. It happens in this Outlander series, so just be aware of that. But I ended up giving this 5 stars. I really loved it. I love Jamie and Claire, and I also love seeing Roger and Brianna in like a better light, because I don't really love the actors that play them. I don't think they have the best chemistry. So it was a lot better to like read Roger, because I really liked him a lot more. And I mean, Brianna can be pretty annoying, but she's got a bad temper, but of course she does, because she's Jamie's daughter. So anyways, enough of that. Anyways, 5 stars. Make sure you check out Jen's live show if you're interested. If you're doing the read along, let me know. That's amazing. We can chat about it. But let's go on to the rest of the reads. Okay, so then I read an ALC, which is an advanced listening copy, if you don't know. But I got an ALC for Mad Love by Willow Aster. This is the first book in the Single Dad's Playbook. And this is my first Willow Aster book, and I really loved it. Like, I loved it. It was so sweet. It was just what I needed. This is the story between Weston and Sadie, and Weston is a quarterback in the NFL. He's very successful. He kind of had been a playboy at some points, but that's not really who he is. So that's not like a total issue in this book or anything. But he basically finds out that he has a 2-month-old son when the hospital calls him and lets him know, hey, your son's here in the hospital. There was an accident. And he's like, what son? Like, I don't have a son. And they're like, oh, well, this woman and her child got in an car accident. And your name, we found that she gave birth to him here, and your name was on the birth certificate. So he's like freaked out, and he shows up to the hospital, and he sees his son, and he knows kind of immediately that it's his son, but he's going to do like a DNA testing and all that kind of stuff. But Sadie is also in there because the mother was her sister, and her sister had a one-night stand with Weston. It basically was just a one-night stand, a one and done. They never contacted each other again. But she has a pretty bad view of Weston because she had kept telling her sister to contact him and let him know about his baby. And her sister did say she did, but she never contacted Weston. And so Sadie kind of has a bad view of him at the beginning. It doesn't last long because Weston certainly sets her straight, and the fact that he would have definitely stepped up, and he does show it with his actions, because man does he step up to the plate. And that's what I loved about this. So she's been helping raise the baby with her sister, and she's very attached, and she's freaking out because now he's an NFL quarterback. Her sister's died, and he's got power and money, and she's thinking that she's just going to totally lose contact and not be a part of this child's life. And he's new to being a dad. He's kind of freaked out, and he sees how, attached she is. And so he basically kind of asked her, hey, why don't you come live with me for a month or whatever? Help me adjust to this. I'm a new father. I don't know what I'm doing. And we can come to an agreement, sign something that you're always going to be a part of his life and be his other kind of parent, And so it's kind of crazy at first, but they do end up doing that. She moves in with him, and so it's forced proximity. And they are both raising his son. I think it's Caleb. Yeah, his son Caleb. And I just love this because he immediately steps up to the plate. He does everything he can to be a good father. He really works with Sadie to like be good co-parents for his son. They're very supportive to each other. So this kind of was seeming like it would be enemies to lovers, but it really turned into a friends to lovers because they become really good friends, but they are very attracted to each other, but feel like they can't really go there. It's like her sister's like one night stand, and you know, it would look kind of bad publicly if he was dating like, you know, his like mom's sister. I mean, his son's mom's sister. That's a mouthful. Didn't come out right. Whatever. So anyways, they try to like deny it for a while, but these two are just so cute together and so supportive. And Weston just made this book for me. I absolutely loved this book. So I gave this 5 stars and 2.5 chilies. It was narrated by Connor Craze and Ava Erickson, and I absolutely love the audiobook. So I would definitely check it out. It's a very cute single dads football player group, and they have this single dads club where they all like hang out and they're single dads. So I can't wait to continue the series. I think it's just adorable. Okay, so then I am continuing on with my Serena Akeroyd journey, and I read Filthy Disciple. I was kind of confused when I saw this in the reading order because I'm like, what the heck is this? I thought we were going to be going on to Connor's romance in the 5 Points Mafia. But this is basically a 5 Points Mafia and like the Disciples MC crossover, because this is actually co-written by Serena Akeroyd and Cassandra Robbins. So I've never read any of Cassandra's Disciple MC series, so I didn't know any of these characters. I wasn't invested in them. I didn't really care about them. And I think our heroine was kind of like the bad, annoying girl in that group, where she's kind of has drug addiction issues and she's a hot mess. So I didn't really fully connect to this. I think I liked the Heroes chapters more because I'm used to Serena Akeroyd. But anyways, in this we have Cade, and he is part of the 5 Points Mafia. And Aiden Jr. basically gives him the task of, you need to go out to LA and rescue this girl that's his doctor's daughter. So his doctor, Aiden, had been like addicted to drugs, because addicted to prescription pills because he was in a lot of pain. He got shot in like the knee very badly, and like this doctor actually like did surgery again on his leg and was able to make it so much better for him. So he was like, any favor you want done, I'll do it for you. So this was that favor. The father told him that Cindy, or his daughter, was basically kind of in this cult, but it was just the MC and she's being taken by them. But that's not the case. When Kay comes out there, she's like in love with like, or obsessed with one of these MC guys, and it's not what he was told it would be. But he kind of like, it ends up being there for her when she has a really bad episode at the restaurant, kind of comes onto the guy she's obsessed with. She takes a bunch of pills and it's just a mess. He ends up having to take her to the hospital because she was ODing. And so then he basically starts to kind of seduce her from there, and they go to New York. He kind of talks her into going to New York. Is like, let's just get away together. She doesn't want to go to New York because her dad's there, and her dad was actually very abusive to her. She knows he killed her mom and he had her committed at one point. So this is just really wild and kind of a crazy mess. But it was very insta-lust, and I don't know. So I didn't fully really enjoy it. It wasn't that long of a book. Usually Serena's books are like 500 or more pages. And this was only like less than, I think, maybe 300, maybe less. But it just took me a while to get through it because I didn't really care. The only parts I liked were when I saw Aiden Jr. and stuff, but that's about it. So I ended up giving this one 3 stars, and it had 3 chilies. Okay, so then I did a reread. There is a Wallflower read-along going on. And so I read Again the Magic by Lisa Kleypas. I listened to this on audiobook. It's on AnyPlay if you are interested. This is book 0, basically, in the Wallflowers. I read it way back. Like, I read the whole Wallflower series, and then I read this because it's like a prequel after, and I think it's completely fine if you do that. But this was a reread for me, and this was back, I think, in 2022 when I read it. And I didn't even do reviews back then. I just did star ratings on Goodreads. So I was kind of surprised. I had a 4-star rating for this, and I definitely upped it because it's a 5-star read. I know this is a lot of people's like favorite Lisa Kleypas. I think it's so beautiful. I think it's an amazing second chance romance. In this, we have McKenna and Aline, and McKenna was the stable boy, and she's, I think a daughter of an earl, if I'm remembering correctly, but they fell in love when they were younger, that she wanted to be with him, she wanted to be her first, and her father kind of found out about it because her sister kind of accidentally saw them and kind of told, and, she, like, fessed up to her dad, and her dad basically kind of threatened McKenna. And so Aline had to break up with him and kind of make it out like he wasn't good enough for her, and he's not, he's a stable boy and she could never be with him, so that he would leave and he wouldn't be in danger. And so years later, he has returned because he went to America and he found a lot of success. He became a self-made man. He's with this other kind of like rich guy. I think is it Gideon? Yeah, Gideon Shaw. And they're there for business reasons, and so they end up staying with her family. Her dad is dead now, but her brother is, the new earl or whatever. I can't remember if it's an earl, but which you'll see him in later books in the Wallflower series. But now she's like, sees him. She never got married. She had a horrible accident happen where she had very bad burns on her legs, so she never wanted to get married, and she doesn't want him to see those, and she's very self-conscious and doesn't think she can be with anybody. But he sees her and he wants revenge for what she did to him, and even if it's to hate fuck her and leave her. But of course, they've been in love with each other forever, so that's not going to happen. And it's just very beautiful second chance. But what I love even more about this is you get a second romance between her sister and Gideon, and it's very beautiful and sweet. Gideon is a very severe alcoholic though, so that is like something she's not going to stand by, and he has to work on that before they can be together. But I just love that this was like 2 romances in one, and it's very sweet. So again, I upped it from my 4 stars to 5 stars, and then I think it's out at 3 chilies. Okay, so then I read an arc. I read The Pucking Coach's Daughter by S. Massery. This is only my second book by S. Massery. I read the first book in her Hockey Gods series. It's a very dark college hockey series that everybody just loves. And I really loved that first book. I think I gave it like 4.5 stars. It was super dark and fun, and it was a good time. This one is pretty crazy because she immediately kind of lists in the beginning that this is something her fans were dying for. Was basically they kind of wanted a reverse harem with kind of like the guys from Hockey Gods, that kind of hero. And so this was kind of like her little passion project for her fans. And so this is a reverse harem of hockey players. It's college. But let me just tell you, it is super fucking dark. I think it's way darker than the book that I read from the other series, but it may get darker later in that series. I have no idea. But I didn't know how I wanted to rate this one because it was crazy. It was dark. It kind of made me ick in a couple places, but it's supposed to do that, and I couldn't put it down. Even though it's like over 500 pages, I flew right through it. It was very good, I think. So in this, we have Sydney, and she really fucked up. I think it was like 6 months or the previous year. She had she went and basically stole, she got pictures out of the rival schools, this guy's house. She took pictures out of his playbook, and she gave them to her ex at the school she's currently at. these colleges are severe, like big time rivals. So that he ended up using it and they totally beat them. But then it like came out that he had those and he had to reveal where he got them, and she ended up getting kicked out of school. And she's in a bad place. Her mom's missing. Her mom's like has issues with like upping and abandoning her and leaving. And so she doesn't know where her mom is. She's kicked out of the school. And her dad is actually the coach for that rival team. But she wasn't like with her dad really all the time. You know, he got married and kind of had a separate life, but he definitely wanted a life with her. It was like kind of her mom, the way her mom talked about the father. I absolutely love the father in this book. He's so supportive and loves her and doesn't even blame her for all the fallout that went on with her giving those pictures. So he basically pulls some strings and gets her into that college. But this is that rival college that everybody knows she did this. Everybody hates her. So there's this big smear campaign against her. She's getting really like bullied and harassed. And it's severe bullying. Like there's heavy bullying in this. But she is just putting her head down, trying to get through it. And one of the biggest ones that is after her is Oliver, I think it's, what's his name? Oh, Oliver Ruiz is the captain of this hockey team. And then he has his best friend Penn, and he's the goalie. And they basically make it their mission to make her life hell. So they are bullying her. There's definitely dub-con situations going on. She's in a really bad position at the school. They have like girls like attacking her, and I mean severe attacking. Like the amount of craziness that goes on with this girl, like where she gets beat like in this bathroom and taped up, like taped to a freaking toilet. It was horrendous. So it's big bullying. So just be aware. Honestly, check your freaking triggers when you read this book, because there's a lot. But basically what ends up happening is these guys, you know, start off hating her, but then are obsessed with her. She's also having this like secret texting, kind of doesn't know who it is, relationship with somebody that's kind of an outlet for her. At first she thought, oh, this is just a trick to like trap her, but then she ends up building this relationship with this other guy through text. And then she also has Carter, who is her ex from the previous school, and he is like so obsessed with her and in love with her. He's kind of stalking her. He literally buys a place right across from her place. It's like a second place he's paying for rent because he wants to keep an eye on her. Penn's pretty obsessed with her. He'll sneak in her window at night, and he likes to do stuff to her when she's sleeping. So there's somnophilia in this. So it's gonna be this relationship with three of these guys. Oliver is the darkest, and there's something that he does later in the book that I didn't think we could come back from. It's pretty brutal. So there's a lot of dark stuff in this. I don't want to give anything away, but I will say there is an attempted essay that is very triggering for her, that has long-lasting effects later on in the book, especially with what ends up happening with one of the guys kind of fucking with her, triggering it even worse. And so we have a lot of dark stuff going on in this. But I really loved it. I have my favorites, as always, with reverse harems. I loved Penn, but I also really loved Carter. Oliver was just a little too hardcore of a bully that, like, it kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But, you know, the ending did make sense, and I liked it. So some of the trigger warnings in this is dub-con, non-con, sexual assault, torture, violence, self-harm, and this is when it got dark, and depression. So some kinks were somnophilia, a lot of butt stuff. They share her, some spitting, and then a pretty over-the-top periods sex scene, which was like, ooh. I don't know how I feel about those, but you might like that. So anyways, I decided to give this 5 stars, even though some parts were really uncomfortable for me. But it was, I mean, it put you through the ringer. It's a wild ride. And I think if you loved the Hockey Gods series, you'll love this, especially if you want some more of that as like a reverse harem type of situation. Okay. So then I did a reread of Blindside by Kandi Steiner. I ended up buying like this 3-pack on Audible of this series, which was The Red Zone. And I read this, I think, last year, and I really loved it. I gave it 4.5 stars. I left it at 4.5 because the third act kind of irritated me, but not too bad. But basically this is Clay and Gianna's romance. Clay broke up with his girlfriend, broke up with him, longtime girlfriend. He's devastated. He's kind of being horrible in interviews. She kind of does the PR for the team, the college team, on football. And so she's kind of tasked with getting his shit together, basically. And so when she's meeting with him, he happens to see her really gushing and being super crushing on this musician at the bar they're at, and he's like, I can help you get him. Let's fake date. It'll make him notice you, and he'll make him really want you. I mean, Clay has an ego, but it's rightfully so, because the guy does immediately notice her because of the fake dating situation. And then he wants to fake date her so that he can get his ex-girlfriend back. He knows it'll drive her crazy and make her want him back. So they do this fake dating thing. It's super cute. I love their just little conversations. He would read the sex scenes in her romance books because Gianna is a virgin, and she realized she didn't want to fuck up her first time with the guy once he notices her. So she basically asks Clay to teach her. And so it's a lessons in seduction kind of thing, sex lessons. And so he actually reads the things in the books and tries to act them out for her. And it's just very cute. The third act was irritating, but it was still great. I love Clay. I think he's a really great book boyfriend. And he does a good little grovel, big gesture at the end that was just adorable. So still had a great time with this one. And then I read Managed by Kristen Callihan. This is the second book in the VIP series that's around a rock band. I was okay. I didn't really love the first one, but this one was interesting because it was actually the manager of the rock band. Rock star romances don't always work for me, but I loved this being the manager, and he's a very straight-laced, serious. He has got a lot of anxieties and little things going on that I really liked that representation in this book. But he basically has kind of a meet cute with our heroine. His name is Gabriel, and he basically meets Sophie because he bought 2 first-class tickets because he has issues with flying. He gets very sick and is afraid of flying, so he wants to be alone. But they actually thought it was an extra seat, and they bumped her up to it, so she's sitting with him. And she's kind of like a chatterbox, and he's very grumpy, quiet. And he starts to kind of have a panicky situation. She comforts him through the flight. And so it was just kind of sweet. It was a cute meet cute. And then he ends up seeing her because she's been hired as the PR person for the rock band, and she's going to be on the tour with them. She does have some bad history with the band because she had pictures. She used to be part of the paparazzi of a member that had, tried to unalive himself in a bad situation. And so those got leaked by her boyfriend. And so they at first it's tough going for her being part of that, tour and everything. But him and her build up a friendship. And eventually he even asked her to sleep with him, but just to sleep. They don't have sex or anything because he kind of needed her comfort. He kind of goes to her for a source of comfort because he has insomnia and he has a really hard time sleeping, but he's able to sleep with her. So it's just this very slow burn. It takes a long time for them to get together. So I really thought it was cute. I listened to this on audiobook. It's on Audible Plus. I loved the male narrator, did an amazing British accent that was super hot. I just didn't fully connect to it, and I thought the third act miscommunication and her not being honest about certain things going on was kind of stupid, and so it didn't totally blow me away. So I ended up giving this one 4 stars, and it's 2.5 chilies. So those are the books that I read this week. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe. Leave me a comment down below and like the video. And I will see you guys on the next one.